welcome to the first episode of the Meeples Champion. We're here because when it comes to board games, all we want to do is find games that can help us get to the table with our friends, with our family, with our board game group that might just be friends from work or random people you met in the board game store down the street. We're trying to find the best games that everybody can play, that everybody can enjoy, that you can feel competitive in, that fits you and your group. For the next 365 days, every day I'm going to be bringing you one new game that I've played with a quick synopsis of the game and what I think of it, where it hits on my biggest important fixtures. How long does it take to play? How difficult is it? Is it a great theme? How is the art? Is this a replayable game? These are important features that every piece adds up and it means something. And we want to figure out just what it is that makes the best game. When all 365 days are over, we're going to be jumping into Pub Meeple, and we're going to be trying to see if we can rank these, and then I'm going to be putting out a huge series of 365 to 1, jumping back into these and explaining just why it is that this game that maybe day one I gave an okay rating to has skyrocketed after multiple plays, after playing with maybe a different group of people, or maybe plummeted just because I found it was hard to get to the table. Today, we're going to be introducing a game that I just played last night. Been waiting to play for a while. Pretty excited. We are talking about Azul, Queen's Garden. Now, this game was pretty amazing. I wasn't expecting it to be the best game, but I understood that it was supposed to be a level jump, a little bit more difficult. Definitely was. If you go and you play one of the original three, I personally found that on a scale of 1 to 5, they were solid 2s, 2.5s. And that's not to say for the enjoyment factor. For enjoyment, they were 4s. But when it came to the ability to learn the game, they were pretty simple. This is a whole number up. If they were 2 or 2.5s, this is 3, 3.5. It definitely brings up that complexity. There's a lot more early, middle, late thinking in this game. There's a lot of types of ways to score. I think that a game like this is fantastic because they've done their job. They hooked you with that initial game. They gave you a little bit of a twist when they brought out that second game. And then they gave you another twist with the third game. But they all, while a little different in how they played, didn't feel that complex in actually knowing how to play. This one is. Now, if you were to pop this open and you were to pull out these pieces, here's some questions. These boards, they're not the best. They're not going to just tear immediately. I mean, they've got some give to them, but these are not to the level of what we've seen with the other boards. These are a little bit flimsier. Again, not just going to tear on you, but they could. You got to be a little gentler with these. I think that they definitely took a little step down when it came to me on this piece of the game. I found that the other three versions definitely had an improved board, and I wasn't worried about it in any way tearing. So that's step one. Step two, we went back into our flower type sub, if you recall over here with our Azul Summer Pavilion, and they got back in the box with these amazing pieces. I mean, I personally find these to be some of the best game components in any game. And I think that's really important, to be able to have the essential pieces of the game be so nice. Now, could this have driven the cost up? Maybe, but this game's not that expensive. I got this game for $40. In today's world, to get a board game in a store and you're not paying $60, you're already doing pretty well, because most games are $60 today. Maybe $50. $40 is pretty good. And for not an expansion, for a game that feels full, for a game that I can play with a lot of people, and for a game that took a while. Admittedly, it was 4 of us. None of us had played before, and 3 of the people at the table were not normal gamers, and 2 of them were definitely very rare gamers. We finished it in about 2.5 hours. That was a lot of rules reading. That was a lot of figuring things out, pauses. I think realistically, this game is probably closer to a 90-minute game. And with the right people, it's even just a 60-minute game. But when you're playing a game of that length, you want good pieces. This is the essential. Now that also jumps into these. You know, when you're talking about the pieces you're putting on the board, these are good quality. These are Catan, putting down your hexagon type quality pieces. That's another fantastic piece to the game. When you're putting these down, you want to have something that doesn't feel like it's flimsy, that doesn't feel like it's easily going to break, as well as our little bonus tiles. So how does the game scale? How does it play? I think that when it comes down to the playing, what I like about this game is you got the Summer Pavilion kind of look to it. You know, you've got your flower type look in a way. The difference is you also have a storage board, and this is the first time I've seen this in any of the Azul games. The storage board means that instead of you just grabbing something, placing it out here, you actually have to store up and then spend from your stored items to do it, and you only have a limited supply that you can save. And that's not just the pieces. Yes, in the other games, you grabbed your tiles, you collected them, and then you spent them out. Depending on the game, Summer Pavilion, you just had an endless supply. Whereas when you're looking at the initial Azul, you had to put it into a row already. It was already deemed this is where it's going. But even in Summer Pavilion, you could then just place it on the board. You only have this center to go into. In order to go elsewhere, you have to be able to buy these, which you can either pay 6 victory points to get a blank one, which has 7 spots, or you can wait until one frees up, flips, and now it has a symbol on it and it's draftable, at which point it too can be saved right on here. You can have up to 2 of them. And then just like everything else, you pay the cost of whatever it is that's on there to get it onto your board, and now you have more spots to go to. It's a really, really cool mechanic. I think that it got a little bit of complication in it where you're playing, if it's a 4-round game, we definitely in round 1 were discussing it. Hey, should we be making the hardest to make thing? And I was like, I don't think so. They don't score till the 4th round. It's not going to give us major points unless we get grouped with things. We should wait. Well, as it turned out, my father-in-law, when he gets all the way to the 4th round, trying to make it, ended up having only 5, no bonus tiles, couldn't make it, had to pass. End of game for him. If you don't make it, you lose it. Meaning you don't just lose the piece, you lose the victory points the piece would be worth off of your score. So if he had had 1 more of the 6s, he could have made 1. 5 get used to pay, 1 goes on the board. All of a sudden, he's getting at least 0 points, and if he gets it into a group, he's getting 6 points. But if he doesn't make it, each one of those is worth -6 points for being in his storage, and he's done with the game. He ended up having 5 in there. 30 points he lost just because he couldn't get them out of there. That is something that is very difficult to deal with. And I think when you're playing this game, what you find yourself considering is, do I need to jump in and make a 6 really early to then allow myself the opportunity to make better decisions later on? Can I pull off getting 3 6s together? Or did I at least make the blue 6, and now because I have it, I can now work on getting the blue 5 and the blue 2 later on and trying to get a big group of points that way. It's got strategy to it. There's luck. You don't know what these are going to come out in the order of. And unlike any of the other Azul games, where when you're playing these, all of your round is in front of you, this one is slow, and I loved it about this game. It was difficult at times. It made me have to slow down and go, okay, it's my turn. I'm first. Usually first is good, but is it? Because when you're first, you have a stack of these. You have 4 tiles on top. You can pick all the same color or all the same symbol. You can't grab 2 of the exact same, meaning color and symbol are the exact same. You only can take 1 of those. But you can take as many as you can, and then you move it off the top of the pile. Another one is moved to the top. And now that one gets 4 tiles, and you continue that way. Well, that is a mind-blowing game effect when you consider what all the other games have done in the past. It made it so that really being 3rd or 4th ended up being, I felt, a stronger position. Yes, being first meant that if you really needed an item and it came up, at least you could snag it. But you only had 4 available. By the time you're 4th up, there's a chance that you're going to end up being 4 different tiles out there, and you grab from all of them. And it's an all or nothing. If you grab purple, and there are 5 purples out there, and 3 of them are different, and 2 of them are copies, exact copies. You have to grab all 3 to go on your board. And if you don't have enough storage space, you can't take any of them. You have to be able to take the entire grouping. So it's difficult. It's not easy. There's a lot of thinking that goes into this game, but that's not a bad thing. If you like a good strategy game, this is for you. If you like Initial Azul, don't be afraid to give this a shot, because it's worth saying, if you're starting to get a little bored of the Initial Azul, maybe this one is going to be the game that's going to give you a chance to up your game and like it more. What I would suggest is, even though the price isn't bad, I would wait. I would check your group. I would see who's into what, and figure out if there's multiple people interested in getting the game. And then say, okay, which one of us wants to get this game? And then figure out other games you're interested in and kind of pile it on. My game group, somebody owns Dune Imperium. I love the game, but I'm not sure I'm going to ever play that with my wife, my family, her family, my friends who aren't part of the board game group. So I've held off. I haven't bought it because the only people who are going to play it is specifically that group. Somebody already owns it. There's no need for me to own it. However, at some point, I will have a game night with family or friends, and I'll request to borrow it. And if they love the game, it goes on the buy list. Same thing can happen with this game. Figure out who's interested in it. Have one person buy it, and then try it out and see if you like it. And then once you know that you like it, now you can consider buying it in the future. Well, I think we've given you enough information on this particular game. It's the lead off of my 365 days. I hope that everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody wants to try it. And definitely, don't be afraid to come back and check out video 2 tomorrow. When we check out, I'm not going to tell you that yet. You have to be surprised. It'll be in the title, though. You'll know. Either way, this is the Meeples Champion. Can't wait to talk to you again.